finally got a diagnosis, then we contacted the clinic and said, can you please tell other families that this is the diagnosis, because it's probably from the biological father. They refused to do so, so we decided to DNA test the children to find sibling families for ourselves and to warn them so that they could avoid as much medical testing.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another React. Today we're reacting to a deeply troubling story involving an IVF clinic in Australia and two mothers who were promised something incredibly important, that their children would share the same sperm donor, giving them a biological connection. But years later, that promise turned out to be untrue, and the way that truth came out is even more heartbreaking. Before we dive in, please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to stay updated on all the current and future videos.
This week, we are running a special series into the under-fire fertility industry. Yesterday, we heard from a donor baby who discovered later in life that she could have up to 700 half-siblings. Today, there is a new horror story to share with you. In 2007, Anastasia Gunn and her wife, Lexi, had a healthy baby boy through IVF using donor sperm. When they decided to expand their family, they were assured by their clinic that they could use the same donor, so all their children would be biological siblings. The provider told them their embryos, which resulted in 2 more little boys, were fertilised by the same donor as their first son. But their investigations proved otherwise. I spoke to Anastasia earlier about the moment she made the discovery.
Our middle boy had a lot of medical problems ever since birth, which we found really surprising because our eldest child is very fit and well. So we had him, and then we were trying to get him diagnosed with what was wrong, and then we had his little brother, and as time went on we were going through more and more medical tests trying to get a diagnosis. When we finally got a diagnosis, then we contacted the clinic and said, can you please tell other families that this is the diagnosis, because it's probably from the biological father. They refused to do so, so we decided to DNA test the children to find sibling families for ourselves and to warn them so that they could avoid as much medical testing. And when the results came in, they were truly shocking and not what we expected at all.
Anastasia.
Oh, Catherine, this is so sad. When couples embark on an IVF journey to create their families, particularly in same-sex relationships, creating that sibling link is so important. And to find that, this is really heartbreaking. But I really want to reiterate that I think this is a real rarity. The robust compliance that IVF clinics have to go through, particularly when they're using donor gametes, is really robust and is really apparent in IVF clinics that we know of.
Yeah.
So, we're hoping that this is a real rare story, but a really sad one, because, now this family has been created in the hope that they all had sibling link, yeah. And it's devastating to hear and to find out. And secondly, that the clinic wouldn't share the information with them.
Very, very sad.
We understand, donor anonymity and how that works within our IVF clinics. But it's really important that in cases such as this, that the clinics are able to share medical information around the donors. That should not have been withheld from this couple.
Definitely not, especially, yes, if there's other children that have been born.
Yeah.
This donor.
And the dangers of this couple now having to go through all the DNA websites to try and find out information about their own children is devastating. We work in an industry that does need to be compliant, but we have so much access to genetic information around the donors that we use, the gametes that we put together and create embryos with. We must be able to share that information.
Absolutely. Should we?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I can't begin to imagine how that felt for you and your family. Tell us what it was like when then there is the evidence that you actually did not get the donor that the clinic alleged you had received to conceive your children.
Oh, it's just been horrendous. We were in a state of total shock and just felt so violated on every level. So we had the ancestry kids, which told us that the boys did not match. We didn't want to believe that. So we went through a couple more rounds of testing, including lab-based testing. We gave those results to Queensland Fertility Group and their parent company Virtus in January of 2023, and we are still waiting for answers from them about what has happened and who their father is.
So you still don't know who the donor is?
We've narrowed it down through our own research down to one family, which has several men in it, but we don't know which man is the biological father of our children. And there's been no assistance from Queensland Fertility Group to get DNA testing to confirm the paternity, which man is the father of our children.
How violent?
It just shouldn't be up to the family to be doing
Their own research.
research.
That IVF laboratory has that information. And what's also really concerning, not only for this family, but any other families that that donor has given his sperm to create those families, that information needs to be shared with those other potential families. This is quite disturbing, isn't it, to hear that in this 21st century that this is happening. The robustness that we have to comply with within IVF laboratories hopefully reassures anyone that needs to go on an IVF journey that their gametes are protected within the laboratory. And this is really sad to hear that this wasn't in this case. And
how they're being so uncooperative. Right?
yeah, and that's the bit. Okay, the mistake. I'm not being keeping in any way, but that mistake has been made. We need to have ownership of that mistake and rectify
exactly
how you move forward with that, and certainly to support this couple and their family.
Yeah, going through such a hard time as it is made even worse by the clinic not being supportive.
And surely the clinic has a responsibility, a duty of care to this family.
Do you feel as a family, not only the financial expense that all these families go through to conceive children, but also the ethical minefield of this?
Well, it's just horrendous, because when you go to these companies to make your children and have fertility treatment, you're not just trusting them with your body, you're trusting them with your heart, with your children, with your partner. And so I've been violated on every level, and so has my partner. And unfortunately, two things can be true at the same time, where we completely love our children, but we now experience their conception as a complete and utter violation of our bodies and our souls on every level.
It's interesting, Anastasia, when you start to ask the questions about how could this happen, do you think it's human error, and do you think there are enough checks and balances in place? Because all of us are asking, if you've experienced this, how many other couples has this happened to?
Well, we don't even know how many other people it's happened to. Every semen donation is broken up into multiple ampules. And so if it was error with the ampule, then if we got the wrong sperm, who else got the wrong sperm? Evidence from the time that it happened was that there was a lot of single checking going on. I'm a registered nurse, and I have to double check everything that I give to patients, including saline. It would appear from the records that there was a lot of single checking going on at the time of donation. So I'm particularly concerned about the staff on the floor. So I think where we're seeing these errors is big companies that are worth millions of dollars. They're not necessarily doing safe staffing on the floor. You're looking at staff on the floor that are very time pressured, as sometimes their medical equipment might not be working. And that's not fair for the staff on the floor. It might be fair for the CEOs who earn millions of dollars, but that's not very fair for an embryologist who might be working on overtime on minimum wage. So I'm very
This brings up the other factor now. I don't know of any laboratory that I've worked with. I'm doing single checks. This I hope to say is a rarity, because if they should be all double witnessing. If they're not, they have radio tag frequencing in the RI witness systems that support any time you bring a gamete, an egg, a sperm or an embryo onto a working surface. That you would know exactly which gametes come from where. So it's really disturbing to hear that a clinic has made, mistakes at this catastrophic level.
Yeah. And I do see the worry as well of thinking, well, how many other people has it happened to? Yeah. Especially with these single checks.
Yeah. And that's, they need to be held accountable. And I hope that they've now put a full investigation in place to look at the systems that they have already and how they can improve.
How to change and improve.
Within medicine, if mistakes are made, the best outcome from that is to ensure that those mistakes do not happen again. And you can only do that by doing a full audit of what happened, what the processes were in place at that time, and how you improve on them to make sure that that never happens again. It doesn't, sadly, help this family.
Hopefully for future.
But I hope that they have been given, lots of support, lots of counselling to help them come to terms with their families. It is, she quite rightly says, they love their family, who they are, their boys. But there's always going to be that little seed of doubt in the back of their mind.
But, feeling that kind of violated. Yeah, I really see that. And as well, they put everything in emotionally, financially, physically, emotionally. It's just really sad.
Really sad. Well, let's hope that, as we've said, that this is the rarity. We'll let her finish.
And about cost cutting and that they're putting profits above people.
Anastasia, what would you like to see changed?
I think there needs to be retrospective legislation. There were no laws at the time that this happened to us in Queensland. So state laws have been enacted now for Queensland, but I think they should be made retrospective. I'd also like to see federal oversight of the industry. As Mark Butler stated the other day, even he doesn't have access to the list of errors that occurred that are held by RTAC, the accrediting body. That accrediting body are responsible for issuing licenses to the clinic, and that means that the clinics get Medicare money. So if even the federal health minister can't get access to the audits done at the clinics and see what errors have occurred, then I don't understand how the clinics are not answerable to the health ministers and to the taxpayer, quite frankly, when they're receiving millions upon millions of dollars.
You make some great points, and we really appreciate you sharing your important story with us. Anastasia, thanks so much.
We are really lucky in the UK that we have the HFEA, which is a robust regulatory system that supports clinics in the UK and makes us accountable for everything that we're doing within our IVF clinics.
Their inspections.
Many countries around the world could learn from the HFEA.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how we, our hearts go out to Anastasia and her family. And I hope that they find a way forward with having peace with what's happened and living their lives to the best that they can.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said earlier, having that support that hopefully that they're given as well through the clinics and counselling or... Yeah, very sad.
If you've been through IVF or have thoughts about how clinics should be regulated, feel free to share your experiences respectfully in the comments. These conversations matter, especially for families who rely on fertility treatment to build their lives. So we'd love to know your thoughts. Let us know in the comments below, but if you do, keep it kind and respectful as we encourage healthy discussion. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe and ring that notification bell to stay updated on all current and future videos. We'll see you next time.